I'm Claudine Wong, joining you from the San Francisco Bay Area, and joined now by Dave Finney of Savage and Cook Distillery with a absolutely gorgeous background there. Good morning to you, Dave.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about where you are and what you're doing these days, because as we all are, I imagine you are sheltering in place. You just have a beautiful place to do that.
Yeah, no, I snuck out outside of town where I live just because it's quiet out here and we have really good Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi at my house is actually pretty horrible. So
That's
yeah,
a
we're
bummer.
up in St. Helena and Napa Valley, and yeah, as you said, sheltering in place and getting to know my wife and kids really good.
Yes, I imagine that you are one of those guys who is working all the time, and so this is new territory for you to get to be at home as often as you are now.
Yeah, no, it's been great. It's I was telling somebody, to get to play basketball with my son just about every day, taking walks with my wife, helping my daughter cheat on her video schooling or whatever it is.
That
Yeah.
online distance learning, yes, we are
Oh
we
yeah.
are all learning to homeschool our children with a lot of help from the schools. Let's talk
Yeah.
about your business, because
Hmm.
so you've been in the wine industry for a long, long time, but Savage and Cook Distillery is your newest venture over on Mare Island in Vallejo. Really cool place, a really cool idea. You guys were up and going and had big, big plans, right, for your hundreds and hundreds of acres that you had on Mare Island to kind of develop that into a city of its own.
Yes, that's correct. So Savage and Cook, which is on Mare Island, was sort of what led me, down to the island, which then led to the greater Nimitz group, the partnership that between myself and Galen Lawrence and Sebastian Lane, and together we formed the Nimitz group, which has purchased the remainder of the South Island, and as well as we're in negotiations with the city of Vallejo for the North Island. But my core business down there is Savage and Cook, which is a distillery where we distill mainly whiskeys, so bourbon, rye, and American whiskey. And when the COVID virus, when everything started, we almost half jokingly made a small batch of hand sanitizer for friends and family. And then it was only a couple days later, we got a call from one of the major municipalities in the North Bay, and they needed something like 8 million ounces is what they were looking for. And, that's when the sort of light bulb went off that, wow, this is really serious. And also, I immediately got in touch with not only our local congressman, Mike Thompson, but Bill Dodd, our state senator, Autumn Burke, who's a assemblywoman down in Southern California, and just try to figure out what was really going on. And oops,
We lost
sorry.
you a little bit there. There you are again.
Yeah,
Yep.
I had my low battery went off. So and once we realized sort of that it was a real concern and a major concern, we moved very quickly. I give my staff all the credit to find denatured alcohol, which was, no pun intended, evaporated, and we were able to get one of the last 30,000 gallons worth of that, as well as 1 gallon containers. They have to be specialized because of the high alcohol, and we just went to work. And currently, we're doing about 12 to 15,000 gallons a week, and we're providing first and foremost first responders, hospitals, and then it just sort of trickles out from there.
So Dave, let
Um,
me ask you, because I've seen a lot of different companies across the country, wineries especially, or people who already had some of the products, or the know-how or the equipment to kind of be able to convert. At the time that you guys said, okay, here's the need, were you guys still also trying to run the business that you were trying to run, or had you already kind of shut down or scaled back?
it happened at the same time. Once we decided we're going to do this, it it was very much, in fact, we were skirting the public relations aspect of it originally, because until we knew we could produce at scale, we weren't going to talk about it. So we took the approach that if we're going to do it, we need to treat it like a real business and make a difference. So once we knew we could scale it, we immediately stopped distilling, converted all the tanks and pumps and everything, and our quasi bottling line,
Mhm.
and switched over completely to hand sanitizer.
Yeah. So when you're making this, I mean, I think that what makes you unique in this is the amount, right, that you're able
Mhm.
to do, in terms of how you compare that with full production of what you were doing at your other business versus full production of this, and has that kept people in business? How have you changed your business model, and how are you funding all of this?
So we're self-funding, and what we did is probably the thing I'm maybe most proud of is we were able to actually hire people, and we went out into the restaurant community, which we're very um, almost partners with in many instances, and we're able to hire out-of-work bartenders, waiters, waitresses, because it's very hand-intensive work.
Mhm.
It's not mechanized. We weren't, we don't bottle gallon jugs of whiskey, so we had to pivot there. So it's a lot of handwork. So yeah, we're just kind of going after it. And there's sort of three buckets the way we look at it. There's sort of the charitable bucket, the stuff that we give away.
Mhm.
There's the other bucket that is where we have hospitals, first responders, and uh, police departments, post office, where we give basically the the hand sanitizer at our cost, which is I think 8 cents an ounce. And then there's the price that we sell it to, call it Frito Lay or Tesla or major companies that are still in business. We have a third price, which is probably about 30% less than what hand sanitizer was selling for before this crisis. So
Right. It's so hard to
we
get it. It's kind of crazy. I imagine you have a lot of people knocking on your door.
yeah, and what we didn't want to do is sort of profiteer from it, and that's why we wanted to have it below market rate. And just it's mainly to keep my people working and to have other people working,
So
and also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no. So how many employees did you have before this, and how many people were you able to hire?
Um, it's hard because there's a lot of cross cultivation between our businesses, but we've hired on any given day, call it half a dozen to a dozen people, depending on what we're doing. And that'll increase if we're already talking about running two shifts. So we would be doubling that if needed.
Do you,
So
do you have enough? I mean, do you have is the 60,000 gallons? That's the is that about how much you're doing?
no, we'll continue now. We have a steady stream of alcohol coming to us
Okay.
because our still is a craft still. So it's meant to run actually very slow to get a higher quality spirit. Whereas there's, much more industrial style stills out there. And so we have basically ships in, we put it together and bottle it. Another truck comes, ship in. So we'll just continue on until it's no longer needed. And it's kind of an ironic thing in that I've never been in a business where I hope it fails because, I can't wait for that day.
Yeah. I mean, do you have a projection? If you run it like a business, you predict out how long at least you'll be needing to do this, and how long have you kind of prepared for? I mean, it's good that you have the supplies coming in, because I think that that's been a huge issue of, is there enough? I mean, when people wanted to make their own at home, they
Yeah.
couldn't, because they couldn't find all the stuff they needed.
Yeah. I just decided again from talking to my staff and from the electeds that, I'm going to make a bet, so to speak. And if this is available now, let's just buy it. And God forbid, again, it'd be a great problem if I'm stuck with a bunch of hand sanitizer, because that means that we're out of this. But we're preparing to do this as long as it's needed. So, weeks, months, I have no idea, but we'll just continue going and continue betting. I mean, we're still having to buy containers and, that otherwise are kind of useless to us.
And because this need is so, it's across the nation, but it is locally, and we are a hot spot in the Bay Area of trying to flatten that curve. Where do you prioritize? I mean, you talked about the three different kind of price points, and where you get it out to people, and how you distribute it. And But where do you decide to go first? I mean, do you start in Vallejo, which is the city that is home to Savage and Cook? Do you start in the Bay Area? Do you go to where there's the most cases? I mean, that's a very difficult thing when you have a lot of people asking.
Yeah, you nailed it. We started, in our backyard. Mayor Bob Sampayan of Mayor of Vallejo is a good friend of mine, and so he was one of the first people that I called. And then it's been St. Helena Hospital where I live, um, the Oakland Post Office, the San Francisco Post Office, the San Francisco Police Department. It's the obvious. You take care of the people taking care of people. Hospitals, of course, all first responders, and try to meter it out accordingly. We haven't, well, I guess we did kind of run out, but now we've got a system where I don't think it's going to be an issue, the supply. And luckily, people don't need like 5,000, although one person did need 5,000 gallons, but most people need like 100, and then, hey, we need another 100 next week. And it's that kind of a thing. So it's not, no one's hoarding it, I guess you could say.
That's good.
Um,
That's good news
yeah,
because
yeah.
certainly we have seen that. Do you, and I saw we in the pictures we were looking at before. Let me see if I can pull them up again. Um, but when you're bottling this, how are you how are you shipping it? Because you talk about the gallon containers and the
Mhm.
different ways you're doing it. Are you and then the bartenders and the people who are out of work making it into smaller bottles? I mean, how are you giving it out?
So it's all in 1 gallon increments. And so we have Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can come pick up your order from the distillery. And then we're shipping as well as delivering. So we have, a couple different flatbed trucks, and a great group of employees that have jumped in. One of them's holding the phone for me right now.
Yeah.
But everybody's kind of stepped up and have switched from whatever job they were doing for the various companies and are now concentrating on this. It's been an amazing effort.
Does it, I think every business, when I talk to a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, you have to have a kind of a model as to why you start the business, what you want from the business, what's going to guide you, your thesis statement, right? Or your, whatever is the light that sends you in one direction versus the other. When you started Savage and Cook, you started it on, for people who aren't familiar with Mare Island, on a place that has a boundless, I think, potential, but and a deep history, as a naval base in that area, but also one that has seen some tough times. I mean,
Yeah.
I think when you went there, it was for the long haul, right? And does that guide you in kind of how you've decided to move your business and where you've decided to go and the ventures that you start, on why you would go in this direction now?
Yeah. I mean, you hear the term impact investing, it's become very chic now. And I think that we don't consider what we're doing impact investing. It just philosophically felt good to know that our tax dollars would be going to a place like Vallejo that is an amazing, working class. I've been told it's the most diverse city in America, and to know that the money's going to go to, a place that needs it is feels really good, and to be able to help out and be a part of the community. I mean, Vallejo, it grows on you pretty quick, and we've met some amazing people and continue to. So to be able to have a business, I mean, I live in a beautiful place, but to be able to have a business and know that our business is going to help contribute jobs as well as tax revenue for a city like Vallejo is awesome.
Within the industry, is there also some camaraderie on how to do this? I mean, and whether they're small wineries or small distilleries or competitors or people that you worked with. I mean, is there, because you guys have this ability, and I don't know how hard that transition was. It doesn't sound like it was. It sounded like you had to give it some thought, but not. It wasn't obviously impossible to do because you're doing it. Some joint effort within in the wine and alcohol and whiskey community to
Yeah,
put this together?
definitely. The alcohol we're purchasing is from a company called Ultra Pure that we've worked with, for about 10 years now. And they were amazing and how quickly they reacted. And then I wish I could talk about some of the bigger distilleries that are friends of mine, and what they're doing is amazing. but they're very quiet and they don't really like to talk about it. But yes, there's been an amazing amount of camaraderie and support, and you know, we have the luxury of being able to do it because we already have a lot of whiskey laid down in barrels. But essentially, our transition equates to about $750,000 per month of lost, material. So that, my wife would say you're just dumb enough to do that. But I think that, that's, again, to be able to keep everybody working, to be able to provide a service, especially on Mare Island, which traditionally in time of crisis, that's what men and women did there. They produced, stuff to help the American people. So, I look at it as just, it's our turn now, and we're just doing what's, been done on the island for centuries.
Economically, how long can you continue to do it though before it's not just your wife, but it's the future where you have to say, we want to do, but shutting down, obviously you're not making money. I think the question is, how much money can you continue to spend when you're not making any?
It depends, and I have faith in the government and, the stimulus package, and I think that this is one where you sort of, you know, don't ask permission, ask forgiveness. So I I like to have faith in the fact that if we're doing the right thing, somehow it'll come back to us. And if it's through grants or loans or, but it's actually not really what we're concentrating on now. We're just trying to get as much of this stuff produced and out to the public as possible.
And how long, just so I know, does it take you to make one bottle, or 1 gallon?
Oh, geez.
It's
Yeah. It's about 2,500 gallons a day. So
2,500 gallons a day.
I guess I'm not good at math, but
You and
some
me
number
both.
of minutes. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. I think it's a commitment to both the area of, Vallejo and Mare Island that you are a part of. I know a lot of people in that area are very excited about seeing Mare Island developed and grow into
Uh,
something new. And certainly, this is a time when you're right. That naval base kept people together, and now, thank you for being a part of keeping everyone safe today.
Oh yeah. No, no, it's just what you do.
It's just what we do. So, all right, Dave Finney from Savage and Cook Distillery, thank you so much, and thanks so much for all you are doing to keep our hands clean and keep that coronavirus from spreading. You stay healthy.
You too. Thank you.